Seth Meyers. This is Late Night. We hope we're doing well. And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. When asked in a new interview about Senator Lindsey Graham's death, President Trump said the doctors told him that, quote, a certain part of his body literally blew up. That's how they explained it to you, or that's how they eventually decided that they had to explain it to you? Yeah, he's not getting any of the medical language. Just say blew up. When asked in the same interview if Russia could have been involved in Senator Lindsey Graham's death, President Trump said, quote, I don't know. I'd love to say yes, but I think he had some problems. I'm sorry, you'd love to say yes? God, wouldn't that be exciting? It'd be like straight out of Melrose Place. During a White House event this week promoting next month's IndyCar race honoring the country's 250th anniversary, President Trump said that it would be, quote, the first racing event of its kind in Washington, D.C.'s history. I mean, of course it will be. Everything you do is the first of its kind in D.C. Do you think any of us thought, I wonder if it'll be like Obama's UFC fight? In a new interview, President Trump criticized the leaders of Iran and said, quote, everything they say is a lie, they lie, I've never seen anything like it, adding, and I've won 3 straight elections and people's sexiest man alive. When asked in the same interview if the U.S. is still planning to seize Iran's Karg Island, President Trump said, quote, I can't say that to you because if I did, it'd be foolish. And just for the journalists out there, can you stop reminding him of the bad ideas he forgot he said he was gonna do? I feel like every day Trump says class dismiss and you guys say, what about our pop quiz? President Trump told reporters yesterday that tomorrow night's national address will focus on, quote, free and fair elections as well as some of his other pet peeves. That's right. President Trump told reporters that tomorrow night's national address will focus on free and fair elections and added, quote, we'll be discussing other things too. Yeah, you usually do. Unrelated, but last week's House of Dragon showed full frontal. So there's a lot going on in our great nation. The gut health company Let Loose recently unveiled a new pair of 7-inch wedge sandals that are designed to make it easier to poop. Have you seen the news lately? We don't need help. And finally, Olive Garden is set tomorrow to offer its never-ending pasta pass, which entitles holders to 13 weeks of unlimited pasta, soup, salad, and breadsticks, in case you're wondering what the next season of The Pit is going to be about. And that was a monologue, everybody! What a great show for you tonight. He's a fantastic actor, you know, from The Walking Dead, The Punisher, and The Bear. He's currently starring in The Odyssey, which opens in theaters July 17th. Jon Bernthal is on the show tonight, everybody. You know her from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Joyride, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. She is Tony nominated for her performance in Broadway's The Rocky Horror Show, and now playing at Studio 54 here in New York City. Stephanie Hsu is joining us on the show tonight. But before we get to all that, the president announced a new plan to impose a 20% toll on cargo shipped through the Strait of Hormuz, even though he does not control the Strait of Hormuz. And a toll would make everything more expensive and... I'm sorry, wait a second. That sounds like typing. I think the president is writing a social media post. And let me just check here. And would you look at that? He already canceled it. All right. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Washington was shaken this week with the sudden passing of Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. It's a delicate subject, but thankfully we have an empathetic president who knows when to use... Thankfully, we have an empathetic president who knows when to use a deft touch. There are still some questions about Graham's death. Please, Mr. President, we know you were close. Share what you know. Put us at ease.
At first I heard it was clogged arteries, because he did have clogged arteries. He had a problem with that. He was, I wish he took better care of himself. I say, you can solve that problem. But what happened is actually something that's very hard to detect. It was not related to any blockage. It was a totally different thing.
We've had great doctors, and they talked about, a certain part of his body literally blew up.
Well, I'd argue they weren't great doctors if they were using language like literally blew up. I mean, if a surgeon came out to the waiting room and said, there's no easy way to say this, your father exploded, you would ask to speak to someone else. Literally blew up. Was the doctor Wile E. Coyote? He graduated from the American College of Medical Examiners. You probably know it as ACME. Why can't the president just be normal and have some decorum in a situation like this? Why do TV anchors desperately have to interrupt him to try to get him back on topic when he's supposed to be remembering his friend?
These people suffer from a very fine disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, and he was seeing that. And
Mr. President,
so
did you notice
he was really come a long way on the terminating the filibuster, which is the single smartest thing we could do. Don't do mail-in ballots unless you're in the military, you're in deployment, you're in the military. You don't do them if somebody's sick, if somebody's disabled, or if you go on vacation. You get a pass. We make it nice and easy.
But Mr. President, did you notice anything different?
They find millions and millions of ballots. It's impossible. Spencer Pratt came up to my office, and then I got the U.S. attorney involved, and they didn't know in 2 weeks. They let it be known an hour later.
So, Mr. President, real quickly, did you notice anything different from Lindsey?
He's going to be in the runoff.
On the phone?
These elections are very dishonest, and you can't have a country unless you have a really honest election.
I love you could tell the moment in that clip where the control room was like, stop showing pictures of Lindsey Graham. He's not talking about Lindsey Graham. Just stop showing the pictures of Lindsey Graham. Show pictures of what he's talking about. What do you mean you don't know what he's talking about? Well, then just show the picture we show when he's on the phone. Also, just hang up on him. You're not going to get him to stop. Have you never been on the phone with an 80-year-old? They have nowhere to be. They have nothing to do. This is how 80-year-olds cancel airline tickets without paying a fee. They just torture you with small talk until you give up. I was going to go to Florida, but my sciatica flared up, and I couldn't take my pills because the cap was on so tight. So I asked my son-in-law to give me some aspirin, but he got me Motrin. I can't take Motrin with the blood thinners. Here, you can have your money back, old man. For the love of God, let me go. But you know what? You know what? Maybe we should give Trump a break. He's got a lot on his mind. Prices are up. Job growth is slow. Wage growth is down. Oil is spiking again, which is why the president is laser focused on putting his name and face on currency.
Donald Trump's signature will be on a $100 bill.
We have the president's signature, which again, I think it is appropriate for the 250th. The president's also going to have a coin coming out with his image on it. So here's the sheets of hundreds hot off the presses. So this fall, that these with the president's signature will be available.
Cool, that should buy almost a full tank of gas. Also, putting aside that this is a grotesque act of ego, Trump's signature isn't elegant enough to be on money. It doesn't even look like it says Donald Trump. It looked like it says, ah! It looks like he was trying to draw a straight line on a piece of paper while riding the bumper cars. But this is a pretty cool fact to celebrate America's 250th anniversary with. This is the first time American money will bear a signature that was also used to represent pubic hair on a dirty drawing to Jeffrey Epstein. So maybe it's time to shut things down. Maybe that's a wrap on us. Maybe we have some fun with it. Maybe we move Trump's signature to, give George Washington a mustache. Maybe Benjamin Franklin a toupee. Yeah, there we go. And I'm sorry, why did you use this face? This looks like a haunted coin from an Edgar Allan Poe story. I wouldn't be surprised if the eyes followed you when you moved around the room. This coin, no matter how many times you spend it, every morning it's back in your pocket. You're like, be gone, foul coin. I'm very disappointed you tried to spend me, Jacob. True story, someone tried to put one of these in a Coinstar machine and it
Literally blew up.
So, President's got his priorities straight, putting his name and face on currency. But what about the money in your pocket? How's that looking?
We have more debt. Inflation numbers worse. Consumer prices worse. Unemployment is worse. Jobs number is worse. Technically, you could argue the GDP number is stable / maybe worse. So, but that's just empirical math.
All right, but that's a little unfair. I mean, you didn't even mention that everyone also has explosive diarrhea. Cyclospora, or as RFK Jr. is probably going to call it, discount Ozempic. You're going to see the weight loss results as soon as you get off the toilet. I mean, sure, everything you said sounds bad, but you're not taking into account all the awesome renovation projects Trump is doing, like the reflecting pool or the East Wing or the fact that the White House looks like the location for the next season of The White Lotus. Definitely looks like a place where Sam Rockwell would give a up monologue. Yeah, I didn't have a drink for a year, and they gave me a coin to celebrate my sobriety, and that mother was cursed. Have a drink, you know you want a drink. Okay, so things sound bad, but Republican Senator Tim Scott was there to give some perspective, to put us at ease. Senator Scott, what is your response?
Take the numbers and take a deep look at them. The average American feels better today than they did in the challenging years of the Biden administration.
No, they don't. When you say take a deep look at them, do you mean like stare at them until you lose focus and they just sort of move around like a magic eye poster? They're numbers. There isn't a different way to look at them other than their numerical value. Trump's poll numbers are worse than Joe Biden's ever were. And don't get me wrong, Biden's were bad. This is the face Biden made whenever they showed him his poll numbers. But Trump's are worse. No one feels better. Everyone's miserable. Rent is up, health insurance is up, wage growth is down, job growth is slowing, AI slop is everywhere, food is more expensive. And if you do scrounge some cash together to buy some lettuce, you end up your brains out because the alien from Men in Black thought it was a good idea to cut the program that monitors the your brains out bug. So things are bad. That's not just my assessment. That's comparing Trump against his own promises, like cheap gas. Just ask his team, are we ever going to get back to that?
The administration has said they'd like to get gas prices down to about $3 a gallon. Is that still realistic? Is that the plan still?
It's absolutely realistic, Ed. We were headed pretty much there on a straight line, but now there's a hiccup again.
Is the hiccup the war with Iran? Because seems like more than a hiccup. Although at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump tried to open the Strait of Hormuz the same way you cure hiccups. We've tried bombing, we've tried blockades, we've tried negotiation. Iran has left me no choice. I'm gonna hold my breath until the strait is open, and if I pass out, that's your fault. All right, ready? Starting in 3, 2, and I'm out. But listen, I'm at least willing to give the administration credit on one thing. They are holding firm to their principles. Iran wanted to charge a fee to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The administration said absolutely not.
We believe international waterways should be free of tolls.
No country is allowed to charge tolls or fees on an international waterway. That's existing international law. That's the way it is in international waterways all over the world, and that's the way we expect it'll be here. I know of no country on the planet that supports tolling or a fee for the use of the straits. There is zero support among the Gulf countries for any sort of toll or fees or anything that charges for the use of international waters. The president's made it clear that's not going to happen.
Yeah, the president's made it clear that's not going to happen, Iran. When the president says something, he means it. He's a man of his word. It's against the law. Nobody supports it. The only way you're going to accomplish your dastardly plan to impose a fee on the Strait of Hormuz is if you send, I don't know, a secret agent to sneak into the White House dressed as an advisor to President Trump and do some sort of Jedi mind trick hypnosis to convince him to write a post on his social media account imposing a fee on the Strait of Hormuz. But Donald Trump's mind is an impenetrable steel trap, and that ain't gonna.
The president said that there would be a 20% fee on ships crossing the straits.
They got to him. This must be the most disappointing thing to happen to Marco Rubio in the last 45 minutes. When Rubio heard the news, he sank so far into the couch you could only see the top of his head. Okay, fine. The Trump administration was adamant there would be no tolls. Now there's a toll. So they flip-flopped. But at least that means the money is about to start rolling in. Make room in your wallets, everybody, because we are about to be flush with cash.
President Trump, after less than 24 hours, is walking back his plan to charge commercial ships a fee for U.S. protection in the Strait of Hormuz.
So I put it out yesterday. I thought it was good. I was called by different people, different countries, kings and emirs and all of the people that we all know and we all love. And they've been very strong partners. And they said, we'd love to do it a different way. We'd love to invest in the United States. And I like that, actually, because I don't think anybody should be able to charge a fee for the Strait.
You just said you were going to charge a fee for the Strait. Next time you have a war, could you at least have some semblance of a plan? The flip-flopping is not projecting strength. If Trump gave Churchill's "We shall fight on the beaches" speech, it would have been all over the place. We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, actually scratch fighting on the beaches. It'll be too sandy on the beaches. I hate getting sick. We're going to let them have the beaches. But we shall fight them in the fields and in the streets, but never in the fields. Of course, it'd be better if we didn't have to fight and they just surrendered. Can someone ask if they're open to that? And we're going to charge a fee for the beaches. Now, to most people, this would sound like another embarrassing U-turn, but don't worry, Fox News has a better idea for how to market it.
I don't like the way we say he abandoned the freedom toll. I would frame it this way, Kayleigh. I would say he proposed the freedom toll, and then the Gulf Arab allies said, no, don't do the toll. We'll invest a lot of money in America. That's how I would frame it.
Oh, is that how you would frame it? Well, you're not going to believe this coincidence. That's exactly how Donald Trump is framing it. While we're at it, I wouldn't frame Jesse Waters as a journalist. I would frame him as a result of a Freaky Friday between Ross from Friends and Stephen Miller. This is the recurring theme of the second Trump presidency so far. He won an election on bringing down prices, making life more affordable, and now everything is worse. He started a war he had no plan for, and just like Wile E. Coyote, every time he had a new idea, that idea
literally blew up.
This has been a closer look.